Welcome, everyone. If you haven't been with me the last few weeks, I've been teaching a series based on the Kleshas. And the Kleshas are something written about in the second chapter of Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. Before Patanjali created the book of Yoga Sutras and compiled all this knowledge and information, it was passed on orally, teacher to student. Once it got recorded down, if you look in the second chapter, it says life is suffering, but suffering can be avoided. And then it goes on to categorize the types of suffering that we can experience. And I love the categories, and we've been going over each one, and today is the last one. The first one was about illusion and ignorance that blocks us from our seeing our true self and seeing the true state of reality. The second one was ego and how the ego can create suffering. The third one was attachments. We talked about attachments to people, places, things. The loss of that can create suffering, but also our attachments to a particular point in time or person that caused us harm. Some type of trauma we can have the attachment towards, and that can create suffering. But then remember that the whole book is about overriding and overcoming these things and using all these tools and techniques that we learn on the mat in order to heal from it, so that we're stronger and brighter when we come out the other side. The fourth one last week was about aversions, what we tend to avoid because we think it's going to cause suffering. And we talked about how we often project the past onto the present, where we may not need to do that. Sometimes it is that lesson being repeated all over again. But then sometimes it's, have we learned the lesson not to project the past to the future, you know? So this week we're on the final one, which is all about the fear of death. Now, the fear of death, if you think about it, is also the fear of the unknown. It's the fear of change, right? Because when you leave your body, there's a massive change that happens. So the fear of change and the fear of the unknown go with the fear of death. And the other way to look at it is clinging to life. So just curious, have you ever had a loved one on the brink of dying and they just won't let go? You know, they're clinging to life. Sometimes it's they need to face that fear of the unknown. Sometimes it's, you know, things being unresolved, and maybe they're waiting to see a particular person or to say something that's been weighing on them before they eventually are capable of letting go. That's a hard one. It's a hard category to deal with, but I do want to share, when I started my spiritual path in college, I felt like that was the time where I could kind of break away from my family and all the religious dogma that I was taught, because I had the question from a very early age, like 4 years old, like I just didn't, and this is just me, this has nothing to do with you, but just me. I would come home and meditate in the woods in the back of my house after church, because I would sit there and blow my mind thinking, so when I die, it's forever and ever and never 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 and never. And I would sit as a little child and think about that and go, well, that doesn't feel right. So you mean when I die, I have to wait until this judgment day? It just never sat right with me. So when I left home and went to college, I was like, I don't want to know what happens when you die. Because I've never resonated with what I was told. And so I seeked out, well, it kind of came to me. I don't think I was really seeking it. What book came to me was Life After Life. And Life After Life was written by a guy named Richard Moody. And Richard Moody had done massive research on near-death experiences. Different people from different religious backgrounds, different people from different cultures, different ways of dying, from suicide to attempted suicide to car accidents to what is that bad group in Russia, KGB or something like that? Somebody getting killed by them or attempted. just all kinds of things, heart attacks, hit by lightning. Like there were all kinds of story after story after story after story. And it gave me so much peace. Because through that book and through all that research and all those stories, I was like, this is answering my questions. This takes me back to when I was really little and I didn't believe what I was told. This makes sense to me. And that began my spiritual path. And it also helped me face the fear of death. Because I think everybody has that fear. And I would have nightmares in high school about people dying or myself dying. Like that was like a consistent dream I had all the time. And then I was led to this book and it's like, I really haven't had a big fear of that. I kind of feel like, well, it's my time kind of thing. And I know not everybody has that experience, but if you are in that space that I was in, just wanting to know a little bit more, check out that book. I don't even know if it's still in print, but they actually did a documentary based on the book. And it was on like Lifetime or one of those TV stations years ago. In fact, the person in our local community filmed it. His name's Peter Shockey. He was a member of Half Moon for a while. And I talked about it in class once, and he came up to me and goes, I filmed it. So I'm like, no way. I'm like, that book changed my entire life. That's what eventually led me. I feel like it eventually led me to yoga because that started my spiritual path of seeking, and I was trying to seek and find other things. So with that in mind, that is the last Klesha. And then next week, I want to give you some hope and give you a positive outlook on this. But I'll say that for next week. So let's go ahead and start child's pose. Oh, yeah, please, go ahead. So you can take child's pose, whichever way you find the most comfortable. Maybe it's with your arms outstretched. Maybe it's your arms wrapped around the legs. Notice how we're draping down and we're putting a little pressure on the forehead. You're welcome to stack fists or cross your arms if you need a headrest. I'm seeing someone massage their brow. You can roll gently from side to side, temple to temple. And this helps to affect the vagus nerve, a major nerve that travels down through the upper body. So it's calming to our nervous system, which in turn is calming to the mind. And this pose and this pressure point is a good stimulus for the sixth chakra or the third eye or pineal gland. Take some deep breaths now in and out through the nose. And then as you're breathing, I want you to face yourself and notice what you're bringing to the mat with you today. Sometimes we are feeling more sensitive, sometimes we do feel heavy, other times emotional. And if you're coming in with any of that, just set your intention to transmute some of this energy, to cleanse your system, so that you feel more purified in your mind, body, and spirit upon departure. Continue to breathe and allow the breath to be some inner alchemy. Think of the breath as what sustains our life. The in-breath that we take when we're first born. The out-breath that we take when our soul is ready to depart this body. And all the breaths in between. The yogis used to say,
Our life is measured by the number of our breaths. Now, on your next inhalation, if your arms are circled around you or propped under your head, stretch the arms out in front and extend long through the arms, looking down the length of your mat. Rock up to hands and knees. Exhale, take downward facing dog. And from your Adho Mukha Svanasana, press into your palms, stretch up and out of your spine. Roll your thighs in and power the back if your hamstrings are rather open. And if you need to charge into your calves and heels, you may prefer walking the dog, bending one knee fairly deep, and then pressing the opposite heel down. And then begin to travel the feet towards the top of the mat. Folding yourself in half. We're going to get right into some Surya Namaskaras today, and we're going to add in various postures. So it's going to start off a little bit more of the vinyasa, and then we'll eventually come down to a seat. So on your next inhalation, reach the arms to your sides and up. Keep the palms apart, facing one another. And then as you exhale, bring your hands together and humbly bow back to your Uttanasana. Affirming as you hold, nothing and no one on this earth can hold me down or back, not even fearing the loss or fearing change or fearing the unknown. Inhale, lift halfway up. Exhale, pour back down. Inhale, step back into your plank. As you exhale, shift forward, lower down to Chaturanga Dandasana. As you inhale, rise into upward facing dog. Exhale, rock and roll back over your toes to downward facing dog. We're going to inhale, step the left foot forward and up between the hands. Offset and plant the right foot to the floor. And then inhale, bring the arms up to Warrior One. So in Warrior One position, you're aligning the front knee over the ankle, making sure the knee's tracking towards the center of the foot. Your back thighs pushing towards the wall behind you and really solidifying your heel to the ground. Square your hips and shoulders. Chin parallel to the floor, look straight ahead. And then exhale, bring the palms back down. Step it into plank. Exhale back to downward facing dog. Inhale, walk your right foot to the front. Offset your back heel to the ground. Coming up, tracking the arms beside the ears. Firm foundation in the feet. Strong legs. Squaring hips and shoulders. Setting your drishti. Breathing. And affirming, I attune myself to the will of higher power. Bring the hands down. We're going to take another vinyasa, so step to plank. Shift forward and lower to chaturanga. Inhale, rise to up dog. Exhale, roll it back to downward facing dog. So we used to have this common expression in yoga, I haven't heard it as much lately, but it's a statement that says our issues are trapped in our tissues. And that's one reason we work with the asanas. We now know that modern science is saying that we definitely hold memory in the body, not just the mind. Inhale, bring the feet to the top of the mat, lift up halfway. Exhale, free fall down, lift the head down. Inhale, root the feet, sweep the arms to your sides and up to Urdhva Hastasana. And then exhale, bring the hands home, sweep to relax. All right, we're going to continue. Inhale, lift the arms up. Exhale, hands together, humbly back. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, shine the heart forward. Good, exhale, release. Inhale, we'll take plank, stacking the bones and joints of the arms, hugging the belly in, quads supporting the thigh bones. Shift forward, lower down to strengthen the upper body. Inhale, blossom the heart as you rise. Exhale, use the core to roll back to the inversion. The head is lowered between the arms. You're gazing back towards that space between the feet. Inhale, we're going to walk the left foot in between the hands. Give yourself a helping hand if need be. Turn and immediately plant the back foot. Bring your left arm to prop onto the knee and take that right arm skyward. Keep the ear or the head lifting out of the left shoulder. And then if you want to extend the right arm across the ear, rinsing the shoulder, turning the pinky down, thumb up, you can focus on that line of energy through the whole right side body, from your outer heel to the fingertips. Make sure the arm that's propped onto the leg is helping to roll the thigh open, feeding that sensation into your hips. Good, on your exhalation, spin out of your back heel, land your hands, step it to plank. Exhale, down dog. If you want that extra vinyasa in the mix, you're welcome to take it. The right foot is going to come next. That heel solidifies to the ground. Looking down, right arm props to the thigh. Make sure the knee's pointed towards the center of the foot. Keep the head up. Take the left arm skyward. Begin here. Sense how it feels in your body today. Drill the back foot down more firmly. Notice how it affects your back knee. Rinse out the top shoulder. Carry the arm a little closer to the face. And breathe in and up through the left side. Becoming a fountain of boundless strength and power. There was a student at Unity yesterday who came into class. Exhale, spin out the back heel, land the hands. Take a vinyasa. She told me the day before she had come to class, and as soon as the teacher started to, take them through postures, she decided to lay down on her back, and she cried the whole class. And that's just what she needed. She just needed to show up. She needed to be in a safe space. And she just allowed the tears to flow. Sometimes that is our yoga practice. You always have permission to do that if you need it. Inhale, bring the feet to the top of the mat. Because Lord knows y'all seen me come into tears. Exhale, release. Inhale, come to the top. Arms reaching towards the head. Exhale, hands come back to the heart. We doing okay? All right, we're going to keep flowing. Inhale, arms reach. Exhale, bring it down through your center. Separating the hands once you release the heaviness of the head. Inhale, come halfway up or arch up, yogi's choice. Exhale, bow back. Inhale, let's take our plank. Coming through to chaturanga on the out breath. Rising into up dog on the in breath. And rolling to downward facing dog on the out breath. So even more important than movement is the awareness we have on the breath. So create that unification with your breath, especially when we're pausing in certain postures. This time, we're going to step the right foot forward. And I'm gonna give you a choice here. You can either extend the right arm up, or you can lift the left elbow and bring the palms together to the heart. We're twisting towards the front door. So we're revolving the belly towards that front thigh. That's it. Maintaining your balance. Good, exhale and line. Right foot plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Unless you want that extra vinyasa. Inhale, left foot's gonna step through. And then you can determine here, do you want to keep it simple? Or do you want to amp it up a little bit? Think about what you noticed, what you're facing, and what you're bringing to the mat with you. Determine from there. Maybe this is the day you need to be a little bit more kind and compassionate. Exhale. Now for the vinyasa, stepping into plank. If you need child's pose, that's always an option as well. Once you slither through and up to your back bend, roll it back to downward facing dog. Press into the feet just as you are your hands to allow the sits bones to grow taller. Inhale, bring the feet to the top of the mat. You can walk, lunge, or float. Exhale, release. Inhale to Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, hands come home, sweet home to the heart. And continue to move. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, close into self. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale. I love hearing the breath. Inhale, step back, plank. Exhale, chaturanga. You can always lower your knees to modify. Inhale it up. Exhale, roll back over the toes. All right, we're going to be moving into triangle pose next. So as you inhale, step your left foot forward. Lower your right foot down. Straighten out the front leg and land your left hand on its shin. And then slowly open up with the twist. Lengthening back through your hips, lengthening through your ribs, and out through the crown of your head. Let your left shoulder roll back. Your fingers energize on the top hand. Breathe. By the way, we also have a lunar eclipse coming up on the 19th. And so this is the foreshadowing of that energy. You could also be experiencing an influence from the universe that way. Exhale, bring the hand down. Lunge that front knee, wiggle the right toes back. Left foot plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, right foot steps through. Back heel sinks down. Slowly straighten the front leg. Stack your right hand on top. Make sure the right upper arm kind of hovers over the thigh. And then sweep the left arm towards the sky. We don't always even recognize that there is a twisting element here in this pose. But coming up that way, you can experience it. It's more of an open twist. Breathe and imagine those divine light codes coming down to you. Bringing energy and joy to fill up your body cells. Exhale, cast the gaze down, lunge that knee. Last vinyasa for this flow. And notice when you carry yourself to downward facing dog, notice the effect it's having on your mind and body. Breathe well. Inhale, bringing the feet to the top of the mat, lifting halfway up. Then exhale, forward. Inhale all the way up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, Samasthiti. All right, we're doing one last flow before we move on. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, hands down. Last week I felt like I was really easy physically. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release.
I don't know, there was a lot of pretzels last week.
Inhale, step back. And one. Try to hover if possible. And then inhale, move up. Exhale, roll back. We're going to step the left foot forward. We're going to hop the right foot a baby step or two ahead. Land the foot so the toes are kind of pointed, just like a 30-degree angle, 45-degree angle at most. And then come up. All right, so you can either, you know what, I'm just going to do this. Cross your arms behind your back. I don't feel like doing namaste dance, but if you do, go for it. Land the feet down, puff the chest up, and then exhale, draw in through your low ribs and start to bow over into pyramid. Tuck your left hip in. Gaze towards the toes with the Padayodhana Drishti, or you can bow your head. Gaze towards the leg. Slowly. Release your hands apart. Well, notice which arm's on the bottom. Okay, we're going to switch sides when we get there. Bring the hands down, step into plank. Exhale, down, down. Right foot steps through. Hop the left foot forward, heel downward, and straighten the legs as you come up to stand. Crossing the arms behind your back, flopping with the arms on top. Puff up the chest and the head back slightly. And then exhale, slow maneuver. Cinching in through the low ribs. Folding over the right side, squeezing the right hip towards you. Finding your drishti points. I really do have to compliment you guys on your reading, because I'm now teaching at another studio and have been, and they don't get the Ujjayi breath. No matter how much I'm teaching it, they just don't get it. So thank you for breathing and letting me hear your breath. Right foot steps back. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale up. Exhale, down dog. Sits bones soaring way up. Belly's tucked in. Smooth out your breath. Let this simmer and calm your mind. When mind is calm, you're less fearful of loss, change, the unknown. Inhale, bring the feet to the front. Let's open the heart halfway. Exhale, release. Inhale to the top. Exhale, and start. Just pause and close the eyes. Burning salutations to the sun, to the awakening light within us all, and to the dawning of a much higher state of consciousness in all beings. Ooh, the warmth, exchange of energy in the hands. Even just bringing the hands in this gesture to this point at the top of the sternum, which is a good acupressure point for the heart center. Very centering and very calming. All right. We're going to step to one side. Those over here, you can face them. You guys can face them. That way you're all facing them too. So look down at your feet. One may be wanting to edge further up than the other. And try to make sure they're on one straight plane. Make sure they're wide enough, planted enough so that your legs are engaged. And then take your hands to your hips, lift your chest up, let your shoulders roll back. And then cinch in through your bottom ribs, the upper abdomen, to fold. That way your abdominals are supporting your low back. Keep the elbows flying up. That will help to keep the chest open. Prasarita Padottanasana B. There's other hand variations, but we've been using our hands a lot. I wanted to keep it simple. Inhale, root your feet, depend on your legs. Squeeze that belly in to come to the top. Good, when you're ready, turn the foot that's closest to the front of your mat to face the top. All right, we're going to stand strong on the left leg. Keep your left hand at your hip. And we're coming into Padottanasana A. So you're holding the right knee. I just realized I was starting to tuck the tailbone. You want to try to avoid that if possible. The left thigh bone kind of rolls back. And then open up your right knee to B. See if your hand can scoot down to the foot to bring it to the inner thigh for tree. And then we're going to place hands to heart. Ooh, that was lovely. And lower too. Broaden the base of your right foot. Right hand to the hip. We'll start with Adagustasana A. Final tuck. Open the hip to B. Bringing it to tree. There's other versions of trees, of course. Look down at your feet. Hinge from the hip crease. And then you're going to bend your knees if you need to, in order to slip your palms right up underneath. Foot over hand pose, a good counter after the weight bearing we've been doing. And just so you guys know, inhale, just lift your head up so you can see. I brought in these handlebars that we used to have at the other studio. So if you're ever coming in with tender wrists, you know, you can do a vinyasa with these. Okay, so just know they're on the shelf with the blocks. If or when you need those. Good, release your hands and step the feet back, lower to your knees. Come to your seat and swing the legs around. I want to block. You may want to block too. We're going to start off with Paschimottanasana. So we're going to start with feet flexed. And notice when you really flex those feet, they may even hover above the floor, but you want them to sink back down so the knees aren't gripping so much. Lift the arms up overhead. Exhale, we're going to try to maintain a straight spine as we fold. Now, if you can easily access the feet, try taking a block to the other side and holding the block instead of the feet. And then instead of draping the head down and puffing into your upper back, see if you can extend through your thoracic area, your mid-back behind your heart. And keep the head lifted. And breathe. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, hands are going to swoop down to the floor, fingertips facing us, slide your feet back. And then press into the hands and feet for reverse tabletop. Now this is really nice for the shoulders after those chaturangas. So tuck the tailbone, lift your hips and pelvis, open up the center of your heart, let your shoulders stay rolled back, let your head lean back so you're looking straight up towards the ceiling. One last breath, and then exhale, come back down. Left leg is going to move out in front. Right foot is going to connect to the inner thigh. Yeah, reach the arms up overhead. Exhale, Janu Shirshasana. Now I've noticed with my own body, and I've noticed witnessing other bodies, how we tend to be a little bit more open when we're just focused on one side or the other versus two together. So you may find that even if you couldn't have the block there before with 2 legs, it may be possible with 1. So one thing that can strain the back is if you're really trying to get that head to the knee. It is okay if you're more flexible to lower the belly to the thigh. And then the head would actually land at the shin. But even though I can do that, I shy away from doing that because there is something called hypermobility. And if you keep going to the extreme all the time, it can be just as bad as if you were doing nothing but strengthening all of the time. You don't want the muscles too long and stretchy. You don't want them too short and inflexible. You want the blend of both, the strength and flexibility. It's also one reason we flex the foot and engage the quads. All right, inhale, let's bring it up. Exhale, we're gonna lift the right knee and plant the foot. We're gonna sail the right arm to the inside of it and then twist, 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 twist the arm and hook it around in front of the shin. Just do your best. Lengthen your left arm, swim it behind the back. Let it land wherever. You're looking out towards your left toes. Creating that unison with the breath again. Gently come out. When you come out, the foot can come closer or even hop to the other side. The left arm will wrap, but then we lift. And once you have the extension in your spine, the right hand can come to the floor behind your back. Keep the channel of breath flowing. I'm lately getting to where I don't want to look over my shoulder. I don't want to say it's an age thing, but I think it might be. So if you feel a strain in your neck, remember you don't have to rotate it so much. And then exhale. Right leg. Left knee's gonna bend and then we'll open from the hip. So Johnny Shavasana first. Reach the arms up overhead. Exhale, fold down. Feel free to use the block if you want. Again, it's not necessary. Rotating the navel towards the straight leg. So a friend called me up on my way here. I think it applies to our subject today. And she was really upset because she had planned on being with her entire family for Thanksgiving. You know, her uncles, her aunts, her cousins. And then they contacted her this morning and said only the vaccinated can come. And she's not. She's so hurt. And it's okay where you stand. I don't want to get political or medical, really. But that's all wrapped in fear, right? The fear of the unknown, the fear of the potential of getting it, the fear of spreading it, the fear of dying, right? This is the Klesha. This is what everybody's facing right now.
right, inhale up. Exhale, release. Lift the left knee. So I tried to make it feel better. I said, did you know that it came out a few years ago? That in our history books, it was all a lie. The Pilgrims and the Native Americans weren't together in a feasting. The Pilgrims were feasting because they were slaughtering the Native Americans. I said, if you look at it that way, why even celebrate? I don't know. I'll try to make it feel better. Maybe I'll lift the left arm up. It actually made her sick to her stomach. Balls. And then hook the arm around. I'm really not trying to be pessimistic today. Start with that round and round. So I love the whole gratitude piece. I can run with gratitude the whole month. So I told her, get a cabin, go to the beach,
No kidding.
make it a fun thing. So that's what she's gonna do. Hook the arm around. So if you're facing that, one side or the other, it doesn't matter which side you're on, but if you're facing that, then, you know, maybe you need an escape. I decided this year, I'm staying in my pajamas all day. I'm gonna watch the football. I'm gonna watch the Beatles documentary that's coming out that night. I'm gonna hang with my dogs. And say hello. And just remember, you can create whatever you want for that day. Exhale. Let's bring the soles and feet together. Lift up to the crown of your head. And so let me show you something. Something that I was doing wrong out of habit was really lifting and folding like this. Okay. And then I started to have an SI joint issue, which ties in with an overactive psoas muscle. Okay, so if you cinch in through, like you're still straightening the spine, but if you cinch in here, what I was saying about the ribs and the upper belly, it feels so much better. If you have low back issues or SI joint stuff, it really helps. And then you don't feel that catch or that. It all showed up in my body when I closed the studio last year. And so I've been having to learn, like, okay, what is this? What am I holding? And what do I need to release? And what do I need to change in my practice? And going to see a chiropractor to help. And that's one reason we probably fear change, because sometimes when we have to go through unexpected change that we're not wanting, then it can show up in the body, you know, and it can wreak havoc. So for good reason, we're fearful of change and the unknown. All right, inhale slowly. All right, when you come up, draw them together. Slide forward. I didn't miss anything in that sequence, did I? Okay. Just check. Roll down to your back. And to take a hold of the back of your thighs or the front of your shins. And now land your feet to the floor. Bring the arms down beside your body.
Go ahead and begin to lift your thighs, your hips, your abdomen, your chest. You set you Bandhasana bridge. Now I'm going to give you choices today. You may want to stay here, keeping your thighs active, your glutes active, your back strong. You may prefer making it restorative and slipping a block under your body. You may even like lifting the legs to waterfall. But if you want to flip the hands over the shoulders, and if you want to push up into will, you can do that. Once you've held will at least for 3 to 5 breaths, you can come back down. If you were in will, you need a counter. So hug the knees back in or take happy baby pose. If you still have a block under you, you can stay for a few more breaths. And eventually tuck your lift away from the block. Come on down to a flat back. Bring the feet down to the ground and cross your right leg over your left. Open out your arms.
Is anybody a Tennessee fan? Tennessee football fan? Did you see the games Saturday? It was so exciting. We were like neck to neck with Kentucky the whole time.
And we pulled it off. Let the knees roll off to the left. Somebody told me one time, how can you like football and you're a yogi? And I'm like, you gotta strike a balance. Inhale, roll the knees back to center, uncross, and cross your left leg over the right. And let the knees roll to the other side. Now that left foot can be used like a kickstand, because this is my tender side of my low back. So I don't bring the knees all the way down over here. I use that left foot to kind of prop them up a little bit once I feel the catch. You can also use props to tuck up underneath. And then release from the twist. Uncross the legs. I want you to roll to your right side and come up.
Did everyone by chance grab a bolster? You don't have to have one. But we're going to focus on our Shavasana. So if you have a bolster and want to line it up underneath your legs, you can. If you need a pillow for the head, you can use a blanket. If you need to ground, you can wrap the blanket over your belly. If you need to stay warm, you can cover your whole self. So I want you to think about the fact that this pose that we take is called corpse pose. And it's called corpse pose because it was created to be a meditation on death and to face death and to practice dying. Most of the asanas we've been doing before now are very alive with vitality. They require our attention. It's animated. It's creative. It holds a lot of expression. We're purposely driving energy into certain places. And now we're just becoming more motionless. less animated. Yet the vitality is still there. And hopefully you still feel the energy that you've perked up. I want you to see if you can slightly tuck or drive the shoulder blades under and a little closer together. That's it. Yeah, so you feel your heart center expand and lift. If you're in a regular corpse pose, if you could separate your feet and let them slightly fan out, that will bring more relaxation to the lower half. And can you soften and relax your sensory organs? Your eyes, your ears, your nose, your mouth. Shavasana lowers the heart rate. It relaxes the mind and the body. Especially if you're capable of ignoring the inner chatter. If you can focus purely on your breath. When you reduce the distractions, you'll find that you arrive into a state of conscious spaciousness. And pulling back to simply bear witness to the spaciousness, you may have the opportunity to connect to the infinite part of yourself that is more than mind and body. And that's the point of Shavasana, to recognize you are an infinite soul. And that even the death to this body is just an illusion. And it's our ego that attaches life to this body, even though it's on a continuum. It's the aversion to death that makes us run from it and fear it. So see if you can dive into that sweet space where you are simply the witness. 3 more breaths, but open them up. A little bit more each time. Hold up your legs and put them in. Wrapping them around with that loving kindness towards yourself. Turning over to 1. About to take a seat. In Chinese medicine, they associate emotions with certain organs. For instance, lungs for grief, the liver, gallbladder with anger, stomach with stress and worry. The kidneys are fear. Yeah. So I wanted to share that in case you feel inundated with fear. It may not be fear of death, it may be fear of change, or fear of loss, or fear of the unknown, or fear of this, that, and the other, right? So if you're overloaded with fear, I do recommend seeing an acupuncturist and have them work on your kidney meridians. You could also research yen poses for the kidney meridian. Bring your hands now to Anjali Mudra, prayer position at your heart. The light in me honors and bows, and deeply respects the love and light within each of you. Namaste.